As you know, it's the budget that's going to be announced tomorrow by Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan. And as Morning Live, we will be there to preview the event. And then, of course, the next morning, we have the Finance Minister as our guest on the program to dissect it. But this morning, our economics journalist is out in Cape Town, and she's already previewing the event. And it's so great to have her on the program. Francis Hurd is going to be discussing things about everything that has to do with the budget speech. So Francis has Mcebisi Jonas with her, as well as Lungisa Fuzile, who's the Director General of the National Treasury. A very, very good morning to you, Francis.
Good morning, Leanne. Thank you so much. And yes, as you said, in less than just over 24 hours, the Finance Minister, Pravin Gordhan, will present that budget. Of course, we'll bring it to you live. And we basically know what's coming. More taxes. There is a hole that needs to be plugged. Beyond that, this is an annual event. It should be business as usual, but a lot of speculation that this year it is not. So let's talk now to the Deputy Finance Minister, Mcebisi Jonas, and the Director General, Lungisa Fuzile. And Deputy Minister, may I start with you? I'm delighted to be speaking to you a day before budget. But some are saying this is quite unusual. The Finance Minister himself, quite vocal ahead of this budget. Are you feeling compelled to be on a charm offensive?
Not really. I think the problem is that I think increasingly we need to educate the public more about the budgeting process. But also because I think the political and economic context is getting tougher and tougher. I mean, all over the globe, people are facing the same problems, slow growth, high inequality, and a whole range of other problems. The rise of populism, I think Trump probably is a typical example of that. And of course, the Brexit issue in the UK. So there is, in a sense, a pressure to get everybody understand what the budget process is, what are the pressures on fiscus, and what are the possibilities for turning around the economy, and the one side, how to address issues of inequality.
So let's address all of that. But there have been reports that ministers have been pushing back. They want greater allocations, a bit of friction between these ministers and Treasury isolated.
Look, I mean, it's a natural and common process. I mean, at this time of budget when we're deciding the allocations. It's easier. Normally the process starts with a political process of deciding what are the priorities. Many of them then get captured in the election manifestos of political parties, but also there's another political process in government where we ministers and the cabinet work through a process of deciding on what choices to make, I mean, for development within the priorities, almost a further prioritization process, as it were. That then translates into a medium-term strategic expenditure, strategic framework, which in a sense gives you a broad framework about the spending direction of government, but also the priorities as well as the intention of government in the next 3 years. And that process is a very interactive process that involves everybody, all ministers, etc. That process probably started process around June, and it continues until MTPPS, and it continues up to probably the latest yesterday when we start briefing even cabinet, the president, and everybody else. There are also structures, formal structures, where ministers are participating in DGs that ensures that it's not a treasury decision. It is a collective decision. The most crucial ones is the MinTech, which involves the Director Generals, as well as the MinCombat, which is the Ministers' Council for Budget, which has 10 ministers, from the minister in the presidency, social development, water and sanitation, and a whole range of those things. So that's the process. It's a very interactive process. It's not a treasury process. What we do, we lend technical support.
Has it been tougher this year, though?
It's tougher, and it will get tougher, actually, as resources, the fiscal space is shrinking. You know, when the economy is not growing, revenues are beginning to lower down, and that will have impact on the cake, the size of the cake. So obviously the process of prioritization becomes tougher and stiffer. And of course, it will result in all sorts of contestations.
Mr. Fuzile, so we can't talk exactly about how this cake is going to be divided. The detail will come tomorrow. But explain this process. When you start, how do you even begin? How far back does that begin?
Soon after the one budget for the 1 year is tabled, the process for the following year is well underway. We adopted the 3-year rolling budget frameworks around 1997-98. What that means, Francis, is that at the time of the tabling of the one budget, in this case, the 2017 budget, we will already be signaling to the South African public in a very deliberate way what the likely budgets are going to be for 2018 and 2019. So, in fact, more and more, as our projections for growth get a little bit closer to be on the spot, and therefore forecast for revenue, of course, we still miss them marginally, certainly growth. The budget process has become more and more boring because it's predictable. It is predictable. Yeah. I mean, what can change so dramatically between October and now? People have got to just imagine that. But of course, there are more data points now since October. The financial year that's running, we have a better sense of what the likely revenue outcome is going to be, the likely expenditure outcome is going to be. So we make adjustments here and there. But as for the future years, they have been out there. That's why we have been encouraging South Africans, decade plus going back, to say, engage with the future years projections seriously.
Well, can you confirm the overall projection? That context that you're outlining is important. And many would say growth is basically nowhere, the needs are everywhere. Does that mean this will be a tax-heavy budget?
Even on the tax stuff, we came out in October, we said,
so we've been duly warned.
In this, changed macroeconomic environment, as we're revising growth down in October, we will have to do the following things. And on the tax side, we signaled very strongly. The only thing that South Africans are looking forward to now is how is it going to impact me? In other words, which taxes are going to change? But the direction of change is known.
All right. Duly warned. You're saying it's a boring process, and Deputy Minister, some people are saying that's the problem. Shouldn't we be changing things given these rising calls for transformation, radical economic transformation, dealing with white monopoly capital? How do you deal with that pressure?
Look, I mean, the one thing is that budget process is also evidence-based. So it's not just like you dream about the choices you're taking. You do need to get into some detailed research that backs up the choices that you're making and look at the implication of each path that you take within that process. So it's a process that is probably less populist, if you like, and a process that really must say, if you decide to shift resources from A to B, what are the implications? I mean, for instance, there's now the whole pressure around higher education, which is an important pressure, but also it's important in the sense that it's the first time that we have an open conversation in society about choices. I mean, people say this is very important, shift resources to this, etc. Of course, you have to take into cognizance that within the broad education and training system, you have early childhood development, which probably historically in South Africa has been under-resourced, up to now. And actually the impact of an under-resourced early childhood development is huge for the economy broadly, because if you look at what comes out of our schooling system, part of it the poor results and poor outcome reflect what the...
So you're saying the current allocations still count towards inclusive growth, towards transformation?
You have to deal with those things in totality.
Is there more political pressure, though? Has Treasury been accused, as we hear, by the President of blocking transformation?
Look, I mean, the political pressure is natural. I think we must not take a view that there's something untoward about political pressure. It is necessary, and I think we have to defend the choices we make as a country, and we have to enter the space of discussion and debate. You see, what probably has become very critical is that unless you grow the economy, the cake will remain small. The further lower the lower the growth the economy grows, slower the economy grows, it also means the cake becomes smaller and smaller. And I think contestation becomes tougher and populism will be on the rise. And of course, there will be other challenges that you face in terms of social discontent. So it's important that we have an absolute focus on growing the economy. So you can talk about transformation, but transformation without growing the economy becomes problematic. It actually defeats the very purpose.
You're saying you're moving the deck chairs rather than growing.
You won't have anything to redistribute if you're not growing the economy. So our view is that you need a balanced view that recognizes the importance of growth as well as the importance of transformation. Because equally, growth without transformation is problematic.
Mr. Fuzile, do you have any comments? I don't know exactly what a transformative budget would look like.
No, as the Deputy Minister had indicated, you see, the budget gives expression to, call it political aspirations. So, and we have been improving how we do this over the years. You would recall that in the run-up to 1994, there was the RDP, which took place or was sort of call it developed outside of government by the African National Congress, which then came into power. So the RDP became the key thing that shapes how government approached the budget. Time after time, whenever there is a new strategy, the budget then adjusts to align to that strategy. Here is what I think sometimes frustrates people, Francis. Once you have taken several decisions which have got long-term implications on the budget, you have tied yourself. Naturally, if, for instance, you have got a given number of government employees, they are paid a certain amount, and you set the rate at which this is going to increase on a 3-year basis, for an example. You don't then walk away when you have got a new priority that you like and pretend as if the decision you took yesterday it has got no implications on what you do today. You first have to say, what decisions did I take in the past which I now have to first take care of because they are contractually binding, and then accommodate new things.
And are we on the right path? A comment from both of you, because some people would say blow the budget. In fact, when times are tight, you can spend, you can pump, you can grow the economy that way, rather than worrying about debt and the rating agencies. I presume you both disagree with that idea of spending your way out of the problem.
Look, I mean, to simplify the problem is that, I mean, we've got many examples of countries that did exactly that. And where did they end? I mean, they ended at the door of the IMF. And you do not want...
We're talking about Greece.
I've not mentioned the countries. But I'm just saying that you don't want to do that because then you lose your sovereignty as a country. National sovereignty is gone. So somebody else will decide what to do. And I don't think this is what South Africans want. And our sources, I mean, our resources come from specific sources. I mean, firstly, you've got to do it through taxation, and if there's a shortfall there, you have to go back and borrow, basically. You don't. So it's not as if there's any other area where you could get grants or you could depend. Sure. You could depend on aid and so on and so on. We have to actually grow the economy. Out of the growth in the economy, then your revenue grows. And when your revenue grows, and of course there's another part to it, that your tax administration is critical. So you do need the functional
money in.
tax administration system.
Deputy Minister, we're running out of time. The big question people want to know is, do you feel your mandate is undermined? There's been so much political buzz, calls for the minister to step down. You're facing court papers calling you a liar. Are you feeling like you can still do your job, or is an axe hanging over your head?
You see, in a sense, politics are about that ultimately. I mean, I don't know if a politician has no axe hanging somewhere. I don't know whether
keeps you on your toes.
Maybe on your shoulder. It's a natural thing. I mean, that all of us face that. I think the crucial point for us is that we've got to sustain what we think is right.
All right, Minister, we've run out of time, but thank you. That was Deputy Minister Mcebisi, Jonas, Director General Lungisa, Fuzile, and let's link you to headlines, and of course we'll bring you all the budget action tomorrow.